Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Peterson, and we are here in beautiful Barcelona, Spain at ISE 2023. And we're excited to have Joe with us from BIAMP. So, Joe, introduce yourself.
I'm Joe Andrulis. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate you having me on the show and looking forward. I'm over at BIAMP, as you mentioned. I kind of oversee marketing and the product team, so I'm kind
Okay.
of the guy who gets to worry about what we're doing and how we talk about it. So
Yeah,
excited to spend some time with you today.
absolutely. Absolutely. So, for all our Hired AV media guests out there, we're glad that you're along with us today. So, Joe, what are you seeing at the show? Are you seeing any trends, or have you had a chance? Have you even had a chance to walk around?
Well, both. I have had a chance to walk around, but the big trend I've seen is constant stream of people.
Yeah.
And we are all delighted to have that be the case again. So you finally feel like most of the lingering effects of the malaise we've been struggling with for the last couple of years is hopefully fading a little bit. There's lots of energy, lots of activity, lots of good ideas out there. So yeah, I'm very, very excited. We've had a good show, but a lot of other people are having good shows
Yeah.
too.
So booth traffic's been good for you guys.
Booth traffic has been very, very good. So just real pleased with how it goes. Again, like I said, I'm in marketing, which means all of this is coming off of my budget, and you want to think like you're spending the company's money wisely. And
Right.
when you have a good show come off like this, you really feel good about it. So
Right.
yeah, I'm very pleased.
All right. Fantastic. So, my first time at an ISE show, so
Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. So,
Wow.
I've been at Infocom maybe 20 times, but
Yeah.
this is first time over here. So I'm just kind of curious. I know at Infocom we're starting to see more and more end users show up at the Infocom show. I didn't know. Do you have a sense for here? Are you seeing still more industry folks come through, or are you starting to see more end users around?
Yeah, I would certainly the predominance is always channel members, consultants,
Right.
and integrators, and all of that. But there's a huge number of end users that have always been part of it. So very much like Infocom in that sense.
Right.
I wouldn't say that I've seen a growth or a change in that.
Okay.
It's always continuing on. The people who tend to make the point of coming out here tend to be the larger corporations.
Right.
Universities are very, very big. They often really are almost entities among themselves in terms of them taking responsibility for designing their space types and everything.
Yep.
So they act almost as their own integrators, even though they work in conjunction with them.
Absolutely. In-house integrators. It's a term I use all the time.
Yeah,
So,
basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very much.
So, all right. So, for BIAMP, do you have anything new at the show? What's exciting?
Do we have anything new at the show?
well,
How could
what's
you
it-
ask such a question? Of
what-
course we have new things.
What's exciting for you guys?
We've made a number of introductions. The big theme that we've been pursuing for some time at BIAMP is trying to create simpler installations by delivering, more and more complete solutions. So
Right.
much of what we do is kind of following that trajectory, and we did a number of things this show to kind of push that forward. Conferencing and remote learning and
Right.
hybrid learning, all of the video conferencing genre is a big part of our business. And so we've released a number of new bundles. We announced a partnership with Lenovo whereby we'll be offering their compute platform directly from us.
Well, that's neat.
So again, making it that little bit easier for
Yeah.
somebody to just from one entity to be able to get everything they need. We have a variety of partnerships that allow it, but sometimes people are like, "No, I just really want to buy from one person. Can you just get it all through you?"
Yeah.
So we've done that. Another big part of our business is around building infrastructure solutions and transportation hubs and large venues. So we introduced a new line of amplifiers to go and complement that, and as well as a whole host of new speaker types, specifically targeting those applications.
Okay.
We are looking for a rebound in retail and hospitality industry,
Yes.
and so we wanted to be ready for that. So these products are also ideal for that. So lots of exciting things.
Yeah.
It's what we do. We're very passionate about the products that kind of deliver the experiences that get our customers excited.
Yeah. So how are you guys handling supply chain? How's that working out for BIAMP? Are you guys getting the products you need? Are you getting stuff shipped out on a timely way?
Very, very much. I mean, the big fight for supply chain really took place last year, and it was a tough battle. I like to feel like we won it. At least did better than a draw, I'll say.
Right. Yeah.
And at this point, there's a few vestiges sort of lingering on, but by and large, we feel like it's behind us. It's not something we talk about on a daily basis the way we did just a few months ago. So it was tough. It really was. It was also a bit of an opportunity. We were pretty aggressive. We laid in inventory. We redesigned products very, very readily, and that allowed people who maybe hadn't given the full portfolio of Buy-Up a try before because they already had a solution, gave them a reason to give it a go, right? Because we had products sometimes when they might have been struggling to get it elsewhere. And, it's a little weird to think about it, but, in a way it may have been beneficial to Buy-Up this kind of hard period.
Yeah. So I'm curious, Buy-Up as a company, the work from home thing, where have you fallen as a company with your employees?
With our employees?
Yeah.
We're very much a believer in the in-office experience.
Okay.
And so, we're a global company. We have many offices all over. So the remote working model is very, very familiar to us.
Right.
But not because we were trying to say people shouldn't come into the office and all of that. There certainly is time and place for those instances where that happens. But even the experience during the pandemic where people were forced to work from home, we noticed a real change in the way people interacted with one another.
Right.
There was a certain sort of stress level and anxiety that grew because people didn't have the easy connections and opportunities to resolve real or perceived disputes or points of controversy or misunderstandings, and it just kept creeping in. And what we really understood was that as people became, new people entered the organization who didn't have the benefit of any sort of real relationship previously, the opportunities for those kind of things to creep in and the inefficiencies that came along with it just really, really started to build up. And so we were very, very quick to bring people back in the office and restore that sort of sense of camaraderie and common purpose and culture that we just didn't see as possible through an extended remote working.
Yep.
We think remote working is part of life, but
Yeah.
it's a complement to the way we work in the office. It is not the substitute.
Sure. No, I personally agree. I mean, there's lots of debate on where this is all headed in the industry, but for me, I'm a people person. Why I come to a show is I want to see the people here.
Exactly right.
And so I just think those opportunities for impromptu interactions, the brainstorming.
Yes.
I think there's just a lot smoother in person than remote still, and maybe we'll see. Maybe there'll be some technologies that'll come that'll make that better. But I think right now, I would tend to agree.
Yeah, I mean, business is certainly about information exchange and economic realization, blah 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 blah. But at the end of the day, it's part of our lives, and our lives are social, exercises. And if we cut that out and pretend it doesn't matter, and it can be substituted by just efficient exchange of information and such, I really believe we lose something substantial.
Yeah.
And even if it's just people's sort of commitment to the enterprise, right? I mean, what is left for them to go and invest in if it really is just a transaction?
Right.
And I think you come from the higher ed space.
Right.
You see that same phenomenon there of people like, remote learning, and it's like, really, I mean, learning. It's also learning about how we work together and what the social dynamics work and how that plays a material role in successful outcomes. And pretending that somehow can be substituted by a recorded lecture,
right?
I'm gonna have to be convinced a little bit more before I buy into that fully.
Yeah, no, I agree. I often say, one of the lessons learned in the pandemic was, this concept of isolation, right? And how challenging that was and how hard that was on people. Yeah. And, we need to make sure that we take notes from that lesson and make sure that, people need people. So.
Absolutely. Here, we're going to institutionalize loneliness or isolation at least.
Exactly.
Doesn't feel like the right path. Right?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Right.
Again, from the higher ed side, I think I think hybrid is here to stay, but I think it's going to be more of an additive thing, not a replacement for the in-person experience. It's going to be primarily for those students who are ill or have other reasons that they can't be there, and we're going to continue to grow remote students as well who just who want that education but aren't able to come to the campus for some reason.
Certainly.
But I don't yet see it being a wholesale replacement at all for that. Kids want the college experience. When we sent all the kids back home for COVID, it became very obvious that they were really missing that college experience. So
Yeah, I agree. And when you think what distinguishes one college experience from another college experience, why does people choose a large university or a small university? It is not the coursework difference, right? I mean, you could argue professors are better at this, but everybody's teaching similar concepts. The facts remain the same, and you're conveying them the same way. And it's all those other things, all those other social components, and the activities and the feel and that define these organizations. And in fact, I think colleges for a long time have recognized that somewhat what distinguishes premier institutions from that is less the coursework, but the community of students it attracts.
Absolutely.
And if all of a sudden you disband that community and say it's just people at the end of a phone, then how is that different than anybody else?
Correct.
Right. So
absolutely.
I think universities more than all need to protect what's really special about their brands, and it is that community.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, what other? That's a trend. Are you seeing other trends among your higher ed customers that's interesting to buy amps?
Yeah, I think a couple of things, right? And they fall very much along these lines, right? Is that certainly the recognition that the hybrid learning, that the remote learner is going to be a fixture in the institution, and that ideally they shouldn't be made to feel as though they're an extra,
right,
or somebody who's signed up but really is almost never acknowledged during the course. And so this sort of co-equal experience is really, really important. And then blending it with some of the concepts where you're having communities of people working together locally, now also being able to incorporate remote people into those same groups in the same sort of natural way, I think is going to pose new challenges and opportunities for technology to kind of bridge those gaps and close those geographies, those spatial points of separation, and make people feel a little bit more contained together.
Sure.
And then I think the other thing that we're seeing quite a bit is this notion of having the environment adapt itself to the activities that are going underway without a bunch of explicit reconfigurations necessary. Okay, so what does all that mean in practical terms? It's almost a little bit of this auto-director function, right? Where the way people behave and interact, the systems should be kind of monitoring it and reacting in the same time. And so that occasionally you may need to override it because you are doing something that's difficult to anticipate. But most things that happen, the systems aren't going to anticipate. When you walk over to a overhead projector, it activates, and it's the feed that goes out to the far end participants automatically.
Yeah,
it's not up to the instructor or to the user to always remember that they have to go do that, because again, that's forgetting that isolates that distant learner again automatically, and or maybe when they move over to a podium, the podium might automatically activates, and some of the other ones don't. And there's tremendous numbers of ways for the space to kind of adapt naturally by activities that should be anticipated quite readily. And so I think that's going to be kind of one of the features that come into it. And then I think, having these technologies available in these smaller space types, even if, small group of students go off and they start participating in a project somewhere else, that they should easily have easy to access technology that gives them similar experiences in the classroom, but without the same fuss.
Yeah.
And those, I think, are kind of a new genre of workspaces that AV can benefit.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of exciting ways in which AV can contribute to the experience going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the terms I hear bantered about include, seamless or frictionless, right? And that's what we're trying to do. And again, it all goes back to experience. Again, VIXA, of course, that's
very
right in their name of their organization. And so, you want to maximize the experience for the individuals, and any kind of automation, as you were sharing, I mean, it just makes a better experience for everyone involved.
It allows the instructor to focus on the experience and not the AV's contribution to the experience, right?
Correct.
Where before I would say that, we've always used those terms, right? Experience and all of that, and we've meant it. We were very sincere about it, but we didn't always have the same tools to let us realize that.
Yep.
And in the past, it depended quite a bit on the instructor, the users, to have a sense of what the possibilities were and to request them as needed. So we provided capabilities, not experiences, right? Capabilities for an experience, but not the experience itself. By essentially having the systems become a little bit smarter and essentially be able to do this, essentially they commit themselves to an experience outcome at the outset.
Right.
And it's only a matter of the person saying, well, I want to go and modify, I want to override your decision. But there will always be a baseline one delivered.
Yeah.
That way, there isn't this, I forgot to go one. There is. You might not have the perfect one, but there will be one. And that's when I think we're really starting to deliver the promise we've been making for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So on another topic, what are you hearing from your channel partners? How are they coping? Are they starting to see recovery in their businesers? And what are you hearing from them?
Well, I think so. In fact, what we've really heard from them is there's been tremendous demand. The challenge has been, because of supply chain issues for a long, long time, it's been completing projects that have been committed to or that customers really had an interest in completing.
Right.
But there was always, you have 90% of the solution, but 10% is missing. You don't have a solution.
Correct.
You don't have the experience. And so they've been stressed by having to balance all of these issues. So I think there's been a tremendous amount of enthusiasm among integrators about the overall health of the market. I think they're relieved to see some of the supply chain constraints starting to free up and that they're actually being able to complete these projects. Those hung projects are cash in the balance, right? Get that done. So I think we're generally this feeling of spring is here, the ice is beginning to break, and the flowers would be sprouting.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. So, what do you see coming down the road? Is there anything I guess, without giving away any secrets, what kind of initiatives do you see Viant pursuing here?
Well, I'm not trying to be. I don't need to be feeling like I'm revealing anything, because really the mission that we started is really just begun, right?
Okay.
This whole notion of delivering these experiences. So we've got a long road ahead to fulfill some of the things I've stated. It's real easy to summarize them, but making them really in the real world delivered with the real fulfillment of that vision is going to take some time yet. I have seen more evidence that the tools necessary to make that happen are within reach, and I mean within reach of not in the next 10 years, but like in the next 3 to 5 years, maybe it really progressively, even from this day forward.
Yeah.
You're seeing, in our products, right, we've really embraced the benefits of AI technologies. And it's not just a buzzword. The AI really contributes a very, very human-like behavior to our systems that begins to make people feel as though they're backed up almost by somebody, a beneficial hand, guiding the system's behavior. And so it does feel more natural, truly more natural than it did before. Not just automated, but actually like there was somebody there working with you. And that's unique, right? And so we've touched on that, right? We use it in noise reduction and in our camera technology, but some of these behavioral functions we really are just on the beginning stages of. And I think that's when we're going to unlock the true experience outcomes that we're envisioning, that are going to make us all look back on the old days of AV and go like, wow, it's hard to believe people used to do it that way.
Yeah. Again, in higher ed, we, for a long time, it's been, if you really wanted a high-end remote experience or lecture capture, you had an operator in the back who was managing everything.
Right.
And it sounds to me like AI has the possibility of giving you that operator-directed experience without actually having an operator back there, because the AI is taking care of it.
That's precisely what I'm suggesting, and it's not going to be for all spaces. There will be these real production environments where they're going to need that kind of human touch directly involved. But if you depended on that, you could never provide it in all the spaces that where we wanted to experience.
That's right.
And so what will be contributed is these very human-like experiences that are auto-directed, and that is absolutely within our reach. And it's where BIAMP is going to be spending a good part of its attention.
Great. Yeah, great. You know, one of the other things we're seeing a lot in the industry is mergers and acquisitions. I know, BIAMP has seen several. How has that been working out for BIAMP? I know you've Community and a few others.
Oh yeah, I mean, I joined BIAMP. We were speaking previously. I joined BIAMP when it changed ownership.
Yeah.
And the game plan that we presented to the investors at the time that we were pitching the BIAMP acquisition concept was that BIAMP was a wonderful brand that was kind of had isolated or committed itself to a kind of a narrow thing, and that we saw that we could go and expand it. And that was the mission we undertook. And we could have built it all ourselves, but we'd probably be talking about 4 or 5 new categories we had in this time frame. So acquisitions was a key part of our strategy. Right?
Yeah.
We wanted to be able to buy businesses, respected brands who had business or a real presence in a particular category that was new to BIAMP, and get us moving quickly. That too, mission has not finished, and so you can expect that we're going to be active. Now, this isn't just about BIAMP. Your question wasn't just about BIAMP; it was about the industry, and we're not alone, right? So, where it's been interesting is we certainly have witnessed it far more readily, even in the integrator community.
Right.
You're seeing a kind of a big consolidation among some integrators, and I don't just mean in the smaller ones. Some of the very, very biggest
Absolutely, yeah.
have begun doing that. I believe what that reflects is this acknowledgement that the AV industry is maturing, that corporations and higher ed institutions and other large user groups don't regard it as a specialty capability. It's a core capability, and as a core capability, they need organizations that can support them on a very, very large-scale basis, whether that be globally or across a variety of different application types. They can't be assembling a community of smaller integrators or specialist integrators to go support them. It's just too much.
Right.
And so these large integrators are trying to scale up, either in coverage geographically or in capability-wise and so forth, to support that need. That's very, very exciting, right? Because certainly as a manufacturer, these are our partners, and their reach is extended, which provides greater opportunity for our business, and meaningfully for us to go and get the kind of value that we really, really hope to deliver to the end users in their hands faster and more successfully.
So, do you see the end of the small mom and pop integrator coming, or what role do you see them maybe playing in the marketplace down the road?
There is. I do not see an end to that.
Okay.
They will play always an important role. When you think of businesses, all our minds tend to go to the big ones, right? The Googles and the Apples and the other Metas and the other sort of big brand names and everything. But their contribution to the total community or economic output of an entity is not as great as their names, right? It's huge, no doubt, right? Mm-hmm. No doubt. But it's underpinned by this vast, vast, vast community of small mom and pop players, whether they're small law firms and dentist offices, and just let your mind go to the number of people you depend on a daily basis. Those people are not going to be going to the mega integrators when they need to get 2 conference rooms outfitted and they need a couple of specialists. There is a need for somebody who is able to understand those needs of the unique requirements of those small business types and their priorities and owners, and respond to them in the kind of local, size-appropriate fashion. And so that's where you're always going to need people who are dedicated to serving that community, even if it's for the very same solution types that the big boys are putting in. So, no, I think that they have a very, very important role going forward.
Okay. I guess we'll ask the question. Is there anything I should have asked you that I haven't asked you yet? So,
boy, I can't think of anything offhand.
Okay. So, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you or get a hold of BIAMP, how would they do that? So,
Well, obviously, the easy answer is we're full digital, so you can find us on our website, www.biamp.com. We're also very, very active in social channels on Instagram and Facebook, and certainly LinkedIn and Twitter. So any of those channels are a great way to interact with BIAMP. And as we were talking at the outset of this conversation, we love to have people visit us personally. So if you do find yourself in lovely Barcelona, please stop by. If you're in Orlando for InfoComm, please stop by, or at many of the other places. We love to shake hands.
Or if they happen to be in Beaverton.
Or in Beaverton, absolutely. Any of our locations, please stop by. We'll welcome you gladly.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time today, and I really appreciate it. So again, this is Mike Peterson with the Higher Ed AV podcast. Thank you all for listening in, and continue to listen for further coverage from ISE 2023.